Okay, so next thing we need to do is create a contact sheet. To do that in Photoshop is actually very simple. They've added this feature relatively recently. So we're going to be using something that's new. So if you ask any of the other Photo 2 kids or anything above that, they did it differently in the past. So sorry to them. But we're going to go File, Automate, Contact Sheet. File, Automate, Contact Sheet. This is why it's super important that you have your pictures in their own individual folders. So for example, we just edited the Elements of Art photos. We have all of the originals in a folder. We have all of the edits in a folder. My contact sheets need to be separate. So I need all of my original color pictures on one contact sheet. I need all of my edited black and white photos on one contact sheet. So they need to be in two separate folders. So once I've gone File, Automate, Contact Sheet, this is here. It looks kind of overwhelming, but you only really need to change one thing maybe. So go to Choose, go to Your Account, and please don't get overwhelmed by all this. You just need to go to Computer, Your Account. Scroll down a little bit. Photo class. This is why we use folders and we stay organized and name the folders what they are. Elements of Art. And I'm going to make my contact sheet for the originals right now. For some reason I have two folders. Okay, so my originals folder is selected. I can look right here and see folder selected, originals. Press OK. Just to double check, this is the size. This is fine, 8 by 10, 300 resolution as always. It's going to flatten the layers because we are ultimately going to save it as a JPEG. And then the numbers here are fine. We want to make sure this is checked. I want you to have your file name as a caption because that's the important part of a contact sheet, to be able to look at all of your different files on one sheet and then be able to reference the file names. So when you're sure you've got the right folder, make sure this is checked, you're pretty much good to go. You're going to press OK. So Photoshop is going to do its own magic. You can kind of watch right here. It's doing a really cool feature called Automate. So it is working on a blank canvas. It's opening your pictures by itself. It's using the text tool. That's this big T. We'll use that soon. And it is creating a sheet that has a small version of each of your pictures, and then with the text tool it's labeling each of the pictures. So this might take a few minutes depending on the quality of your pictures, how many you have, how slow Photoshop's being that day, but you really need to just let it work. Don't go on the internet, don't be watching videos, just let it load because you can see how many layers are building up. You really don't want your stuff to crash and have to start over. So let it take its time. You're going to follow the same exact steps for a contact sheet for your originals and for your edits. And these will be saved as JPEGs. Again, in the past, if you talk to any old photo students, we did contact sheets on PDFs, but this new process is just a lot easier. I mean, as you can see, it's doing it by itself. And PDFs can be a little bit of a pain to open, especially with this new Windows software. But anyway, JPEG is just way easier, way more convenient for our purposes. So I'm going to go ahead and pause my recording and pick it back up when this automate process is finished. Okay, so we are back. Photoshop has totally finished creating my contact sheet. You can see right here, it's even merged all of the layers. So it looks like this. Because this folder had more than 25 pictures in it, it actually ended up making two separate files. That's totally fine. What I'm going to do is just save them as sheet 1 and sheet 2. It's really fine. But for everybody else that did just 25 pictures, yours should be on one solid sheet as long as you didn't change those numbers, because you can see here this is well over 25. But anyway, now that my contact sheet's created, Photoshop did the whole thing for me. I'm going to go File, Save As. And again, I'm saving it to my account in my Elements of Art folder. I want to make sure I change the drop down to JPEG. And then, as always, I need to change it to my last name, my first name, and then this is important. You need to say which project pictures this was, so Elements of Art, or you can just say EOA. But the important part is that you specify if it's the originals or the edits. So Elements of Art Originals is what this was. I'm saving it in my folder, in my photo class, in my Elements of Art folder, because I'm being organized like you should be. This is saved as .jpg. The drop down is JPEG. That's how it should be. Even though Photoshop wanted to save it as a PSD at first, because we're done with it, we want it saved as a JPEG. So we're pressing save, slider goes all the way up to 12, and we press OK. If for some reason your contact sheet was 2 pages long like this one and you need 2 pages, you need to do File Save As also for that one. And the same thing. I would just use this same file name that I just did. Well, actually I can't see it yet because I didn't change it to JPEG. This file name that I just did, and because it's a continuation of the originals, I would just write this same exact thing and then put 2 after originals. But anyway, you've already seen how to save it. As far as turning your stuff in for the Elements of Art project, you need to go to your folder, and then remember, I've taught you guys some helpful stuff. Using multiple windows is very convenient. If you right click on the public, so slow, and say open a new window. So I right clicked on public, open a new window. Look at this easiness. I'm going to go to the public folder and the turn in folder. So go to your class, whatever you are, 3B or 4B, and then here is your turn in folder. So your turn in folder is here, Elements of Art. So in here you're turning in your template and your 2 contact sheets. The template is, oh, I closed it. The thing that I showed you of, this thing, of the 6 different examples. This is my one that's not finished. Let me see if it'll preview. No. Anyway, you're turning in this template that has the 6 pictures, and then you should have 2 contact sheets, one that's your originals, and then one that is your edits, which I didn't make one of that for the preview. So in this folder, do not make your own folder. If your stuff is saved last name, first name, it's going to automatically sort all of you. When you guys are in here, all you can see is yourself, but the purpose of it for me is that I can see all of your stuff. So I've got my originals contact sheet, pretend this is my edits contact sheet, and then I've got this worksheet that we're pretending has all 6 of my Elements of Art pictures. So I'm holding control, I'm clicking, 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 and I'm not dragging. Please do not drag. You're going to right click, copy, come over here to the turn in, right click, and paste. After you've done that,